What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Palazzo Podcast, 2Ls, 2Zs. It is your boy, Mike Virginia here. Joined with me today by the Palazzo GOAT himself, Britton Allan. Britton, how's everything going, buddy?
Oh, it's going great, man. I must be moving up in the world if I'm on the world famous Fab show with my man Mike V. You're killing it, Mike. You're doing great, and I'm pretty pumped because today your Orioles with Corbin Burns. Guess who they're playing? Must-watch TV. They're playing his old team, the Atlanta Brewers, and let's just say his relationship with the Brewers didn't end well, like most breakups. So I'm going to look for him to shove today, especially because the Brewers been beaten up on the O's. I don't know what's up with that, but I think that's all going to change today. Yeah, it's weird.
Man. I hope. Well, I'm not a big fan of Tyler Wells or John Means at all, so I'm hoping that we get Kyle Bradish back here soon because I can't watch any more of Tyler Wells. So
Bradish is on his way.
Exactly. Yep. For those of you guys jumping in, thanks so much for jumping in with us and hanging out with us on this beautiful Sunday, full of baseball, golf, whatever you want to call it. But real quick, if you could, if you're new here, feel free to drop your questions in the comment section here. That's what we're here for today. If you have questions for ads, drops, trades, whatever you want to talk about, fantasy baseball related, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. Make sure you're following myself on Twitter _Mike VA, as well as Britton Allan as well, at Britton Allan, 2 T's, 2 L's. Make sure you follow along. If you guys have questions throughout the week, we're happy to help out as well. Finally, you guys know the deal. Make sure that you guys are following the Palazzo Podcast YouTube channel. The best way to support the show, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds. It's super easy. We would really, really, really appreciate it. And if you have some time, leave a 5-star review for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big help. It just takes a click, but every click makes Mike VA happier. You know, we want his happiness level to be as high as possible.
We got to keep it high.
We got to keep it high. In all seriousness, we really do appreciate it. Thank y'all for hitting that like button.
Absolutely. All right. B. Henny says, thanks for the great info. Absolutely, man. Thanks very much for being here. Dom Caboose says, let's go. Doing some yard work while listening this morning. Excellent. Glad you're getting the yard work done.
Picking those weeds, man. Somebody's got to do it. I hear you. Shout out to you. That was my thing when I was growing up. My parents, I can't remember what my allowance was, but their big thing was picking the weeds. Yeah, so I'd be out there all day getting ticks and Lyme disease and picking the effing weeds, you know. It sucked, but that's what somebody had to do it. And being the youngest of the family, that was my job, man.
Yeah, Chad says I got the wrong overlay on. Thank you very much for doing that, Chad, and telling me. Appreciate you.
Oh, I didn't even notice. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I know, right? Nope, that's not what I want. Forgive me, guys, real quick. Just trying to get the right banner up.
Do you want to be Ben or do you want to be Robbie? I can do a Rob. I can try to do a Robbie Canadian accent, like, oh gosh darn, you're darn tootin'. Who's got my soda pop? I want my. That's the worst Canadian accent you've ever heard in your life.
That sounded more like Ben, to be honest.
Did it really? Robbie. Well, he's from Dakota. That's might as well be Canada, I think. Out there in the dairy farms, you know, living the clean life for all the city centers, you know.
All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, for those of you guys who are in the comment section, please feel free to drop your questions in there. More than happy to help you out. I want to go through a couple things real quick. For those of you guys who don't follow me on Twitter, I do a weekly notes Monday through Friday, daily notes in the morning time. So every Monday, I'm going to be releasing this stuff as well. But I also want to go over some things for you guys for the upcoming week. Okay, so everybody has at least 6 games on the docket this week, which is great, Britton. 10 teams have 7 games, and that includes Arizona, Boston, the Cubs, the Guardians, the Tigers, the Angels, the Marlins, the Giants, the Rays, the Rangers. Okay, and everybody else has 6. So I'm not going to go through all those teams, but you guys can probably figure that out. So a heavy slew. Yeah, heavy slew of games. For those of you guys who play in weekly formats, this is something else to consider when you're setting your lineups, because you obviously want to get as much of the guys who are playing the 7 games more than the 6. But something to think about there. The friendliest hitter matchups this week, and this is subject to change slightly based off of how today's games go. The friendliest hitter matchups, my top 5 here: the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox. And the hardest hitter matchups, again subject to change, are the Yankees, the Angels, the Rockies, the Blue Jays, and the Athletics. So something to think about as you're setting your lineups. So
Yeah, can we talk about the Phillies real quick? They have the best schedule coming up. They play Colorado in Philly. They play the White Sox. Now the White Sox have Garrett Crochet, but he gives up home runs too sometimes. And then they go on the road to beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, one of the best hitter environments you can possibly play in the league. So that's why, Mike V, do not run, do not walk. You hop on a rocket ship and ignite it and go out and get Brandon Marsh. He is hitting 4 home runs. He's hitting over 300. He's playing so well. He's even starting against lefty. He started against one lefty last week, and he sat against one. But they've got righties coming up. Brandon Marsh and that Philly team are hot. If Brandon Marsh is out on your waiver wire, go get him, because he's going to play Colorado, the White Sox, and then whatever happens in Cincinnati stays in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? So Brandon Marsh for your Phillies is, I think, the number 1 pickup. Mike, what do you think?
I love that. And actually, you stole one of my guys off of my top 3 hitter ads. He's actually not part of my top 3. It's actually not one of my top 3. He's actually part of my honorable mentions, but it was really close between the third guy I'm going to mention and Brandon Marsh. But I love that call, especially with the matchups that he's got coming up. It's worth noting that he does sit sometimes against lefties, not all the time, but especially the tougher lefty matchups, he does sit occasionally. So, but he definitely needs to be rostered. He's only 36% rostered in Yahoo leagues, which I expect that number to climb come Monday morning. So let's dive into it here, Britton. Let's dive into our top ads of the week. I'm going to start with a hitter here. And I don't think this is going to be breaking news to anybody. If you play in daily formats where you're able to add guys like this, throughout the week, he's probably already gone, but he is only 62% rostered in Yahoo. And this is not a hard one. If Colton Cower of my said Baltimore Orioles is still available, he is my number 1 priority ad for the hitter side this week. If you've been living under a rock, just go back and look at his game log all week long. He's been crushing it. He's one of the Orioles' highly touted prospects. Last year, he did not do as well in his debut with us, but he's off to a really, really, really strong start, and he should be hitting in the top third of that lineup moving forward. So really, really in on Colton Cower. I actually picked him up in a couple of leagues myself, Britton. I actually drafted him in the Palazzo Podcast Invitational, which was great. So I do have a couple of shares. Do you have any shares of Colton Cower? And if you don't, are you going to be looking to add him as your number 1 hitter at this week?
Yeah, if I have to waterfall it, I'm going to put Brandon Marsh number 1 just because that schedule is so good. It's so good. And Cincinnati. And I'm just repeating myself over and over because I can't believe it. I can't believe how good that schedule is. Philly, obviously, Philly is a great place to hit too. But Colton Cower killed it last week. The best hitter on the Baltimore Orioles was Colton Cower. He's secured his spot in that lineup. He's earned it. So yeah, Colton Cower would be my number 2. I also kind of like, Mike V, what do you think about Ryan O'Hearn? They play a bunch of righties this week. I'm talking about the Baltimore Orioles. Ryan O'Hearn, who has somehow in his early 30s has turned into a good hitter. Not that he ever wasn't good, but I mean, he's batting over 300. He's a lefty. He'll bat 5th or 4th for the Orioles when they play a righty, and he's first base eligible too in outfield. So, if you want a good corner action, go see if Ryan O'Hearn's out there, because that dude mashes righties.
Absolutely, and good call there. They like getting his bat in the lineup. He's obviously come up for us in the most clutch situations as well. So got some pop. I like that. I like that call a lot. The second guy on my list here, Britton, is a guy that I was high on going into the season. I do have a couple of shares, but I wish I had him in every league that I own. Michael Bush of the Chicago Cubs. He is probably my 1B to Cower 1A for me this week. Michael Bush has been absolutely killing it for the Chicago Cubs. He's first base and second base eligible, if I'm not mistaken, or is it third base? I can't remember.
Third base. Yeah.
Third base, yeah. So he's got dual eligibility. Again, has 30 home run pop. He showed it with the Dodgers before coming over to the Cubs this year. So I like him a lot going forward. I think he's going to be hitting towards the upper half of that lineup. And he should be batting no lower than 5 in my opinion. But and I know he's a lefty matchups. That might change some things, but love Michael Bush, especially if you own somebody like Raffy Devers, who, in my opinion, is probably going to be hitting the IL here probably in the next day or so with that shoulder injury. So if you need a replacement for Devers, go out and get Michael Bush. The guy is a stud. Love him, love him, love him.
Love that pick. And he's going to get a lot of run with the Cubs. He's big, he's strong. I mean, he came from the Dodgers. He's got all kinds of pedigree, and now he's going to play every day. And remember, where are we? April the 14th. Things are going to heat up in Chicago, and when the weather gets nice, that wind starts blowing, the ball starts flying, and then you can have Michael Bush as your corner infielder or however you want to work it all summer long and watch him hit dingers in that beautiful Wrigley Field, which is, I haven't been to I could say maybe 10 Major League Baseball parks. And I know saying that Wrigley Field is my favorite is like saying I like the Yankees or something like that. But I don't know if you've ever been to Wrigley Field in beautiful Chicago, but man, it is a glorious, glorious place, especially when the weather's nice.
Yeah, I have not, but I'm actually going to a game in May. So next month, my brother and sister-in-law live up in Chicago, so just moved there recently. So we're going to be checking a game out. We got kids coming with us too, so I'm hoping that they can sit through a 9-inning ball game because I'm super excited. Never been to Wrigley, so this should be fun.
Yeah, man, you got to get them some ice cream with in the little helmet cup. And then you get a couple beers. And they'll be good. One player I wanted to ask you about, Carlos Correa for the Twins just went on the IL with the back issue because he's had back issues his whole career. It's funny to think about, like, God, Carlos Correa, he's kind of like been around for a while now.
Yes.
He and with his injuries, but one of the players I was looking at is Willie Castro. So the manager, Rocco Baldelli, has said that Willie Castro is the primary shortstop. Now, I don't know how long Correa is going to be out. Maybe it's the minimum, maybe not. But Castro was in the mix already yesterday with all, their lineup changes, and they also platoon a lot. But it looks like Castro is going to have every day at bats. And this is I like it because, like, he steals bases. He was top 5 in Major League Baseball last year with, I think, 33 stolen bases in limited playing time. This guy wants to run. He knows what WAR is. I've seen interviews with him. He knows how money gets made in arbitration in the Major League Baseball. And he hit a home run yesterday. Now, power's not his thing, but he did hit one yesterday, and he's starting to heat up. And shout out to our friend Ben, who also mentioned Austin Martin. Will also get increased playing time. And, every time I see Austin Martin's name, Mike, it cracks me up because for most, I'm 47, but for most of my life, I love those James Bond movies. And, he drives a very fancy British car.
Yes, he does.
It's called an Aston Martin. And I literally just learned recently after rewatching Skyfall from a few years ago, I always thought the car's name was Aston Martin, and it's not. There's no U in the car's name. I literally just learned that. I've been operating every day. I've been operating under false pretenses most of my adult life.
Hey,
I don't know.
That's what happens, man. You learn something new every day.
It's amazing the things I don't know. But yeah, so Austin Martin too is another talented player with the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, and Ben, actually, we have a group chat outside of here for those of you guys who don't know, but we talk about all things fantasy baseball as well. So we're talking about the show yesterday, and Ben actually said that he's very comparable to Willie Castro from what we got from Willie Castro last year. So I think you're going to see a good blend of not only Willie Castro and Austin Martin, but you're also going to see a lot more playing time for Edouard Julien.
Heck yeah.
So all those guys should be able to get some run, and all are very interesting ads this week. So, Britton, we got our first question from Ryan Quinn. What's up, man? Thanks for joining the show today.
What up?
he says drop Langford or Churros for Bush head to head, 12 team points, usually only starting one, small bench league, have Goldschmidt at first base and Riley at third base. So Bush would be my utility guy. Britton, I'll let you start with this question here. What do you think?
That's a great question. I love all those players. Langford has started to heat up. He had a real slow start after a super hot spring training, and that's why he made the team. I like Churio too, but sometimes he bats ninth. I think I would go ahead and get Bush. I really do. I mean, Langford's kind of struggling. I mean, Bush is also young, but those dudes are rookies, and I think Bush in a head-to-head points leagues, I think Bush is going to hit more home runs than those guys. And if you're talking about head-to-head points, give me those home runs, baby.
Absolutely. Who are you dropping of those two?
Oh, that's a great. Probably. I don't know, man. Do I have to drop? I guess Langford.
See,
I'm sorry. Those teams, like literally, Milwaukee, and I think it's like Milwaukee and the Guardians have the most runs scored in the league, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Langford's struggling a little bit, so if I had to drop him, I guess I would go ahead and keep Churio. But yeah, I like Bush and head-to-head points. What about Goldschmidt, man? What a terrible season! I'm worried about him. Yeah, I know that's not the question, but he put in there Goldschmidt at first base. I'm like, all the metrics look bad. I mean, is this it? Is this the decline, or is this just a bad couple weeks or whatever?
Yeah, I would venture to say the latter. I'm not ready to give up on Goldschmidt yet. I mean, obviously, we've seen such great seasons from him, and obviously, we're only a week or so, a little over a week into the season. Ryan, me personally, I am not dropping Langford or Chourio for Bush. I just like their ceilings a lot higher than Bush, but Bush does need to be owned. So I'd be interested to know who else is on your bench. I realize that Langford and Chourio have not been what they've been advertised thus far, especially after the torrid, blistering start that Langford had in spring training. But he plays in a loaded lineup with Texas, like Britton alluded to. He's starting to heat up. And Jackson Chourio, for me, it kind of reminds me a lot like the first year that Julio Rodriguez had. He struggled out of the gate for like the first month or so when he first came up with Seattle when he broke camp, and then he just had a monster season. Not saying that Chourio is going to be that player. It very well could happen, though. He's got a nice blend of power and speed. So I'm not ready to give up on Langford or Chourio right now, but I do think Michael Bush needs to be owned somewhere on your team. I'm interested to see who else is on your bench there, though.
Yeah, I love that take too. But just kind of off topic.
Yeah.
Churros, Mexican dessert. Yay or nay? Cinnamon delicious. Am I right?
You're singing my song, baby. I love me a churro. And every time that I see
they're
Jackson
like the most underrated dessert on the planet. Like, I don't understand. What I need to do is retire, quit whatever it is I'm doing for a living, and go open up a bunch of churro shops. I could turn this into, like, you remember those old TCBY? I don't know if you ever remember that. You may be too young for that, but they called them the country's best yogurt, and especially in the South, they had all those. So I need to do like the country's best churros, and then just make $1 billion eating delicious churro treats.
Maybe we can have our faces on the carton or something.
Oh, like Tom, like the Tom Jerry, the ice cream guys. Yeah. Oh my God, I want to be the face of churros, Mike. I realize. My midlife crisis has just arrived. I'm so excited. My wife was like, fantasy baseball is your midlife crisis. That's really lame. And I'm like, I know, but I don't want to ride a motorcycle. I don't want to date my secretary. I just want to eat a bunch of churros.
Churros. All right.
Yeah. Give me the churros, man.
Britton Allan. That's what.
That's right. Call me King Churro from here on out, because I'm dedicating the rest of my life to making people happy with churros.
I love it. The next question we got here is from Charles. What's up, man? He says, hi, gents. I'm up 32 in a points league. Opponent has Barrios and Reagans. I have Burns, Christian Javier, and Nestor Cortez. Would you sit Javier against Texas, worried about negative points?
I play him. I play him.
I was gonna say I'm playing him as well. I think you're up by 32. I don't think you have really much to worry about there. And especially with the other guys that you got going, I think Burns shoves today against his old team. I think that is an absolute must-have there. And then obviously Nestor. Christian Javier, the both starters yesterday did pretty well. That game didn't start blowing up until they got into the bullpen. So I would expect a very similar game script today as well, being as a quick turnaround from last night. So I think you play all those guys, Charles.
Yeah, I do too. And man, I think what Burns is going to do today, I went and looked at the Vegas stuff for him, and I mean his over/under strikeouts is 7.5. You very rarely see a strikeout line from Vegas that high, very rarely. So they're anticipating at least 8 strikeouts. The outs that he's anticipated to get is like 17.5. They never post a line that high either, and I look at that stuff every day. So I would, just Burns is going to carry you through. So let those other guys get on the wagon.
Bingo. Yeah, well said. And he just hit it right on the head there, Charles. Burns is gonna carry you to that win. So I don't think you're have anything to worry about there. Chad says, I've got a top secret Palazzo podcast exclusive Fab name to snatch up cheap before this price skyrockets. Orion Kiriking, I think it's Kiriling. I don't know how you say his last name.
Yeah, Kiriking.
Yeah, is off the IL and ready to ascend to the closer role in Philly. I actually like that call a lot, Chad. Jose Alvarado, big lefty, coming off of that was one of my do not draft guys this year. Britton was Alvarado coming off of the elbow injury from last year, and he has not looked great this year to start. He's had a couple rocky starts, so I actually think he's better suited for the eighth and kind of like the stopper role than he is the closer guy. So I actually like this call a lot here, Chad. I think we may see some opportunities for him later in the year.
Yeah, you're right, totally. And I also I wasn't a big fan of Alvarado either. I got a lot of Jeff Hoffman though, so I think Hoffman is the righty that's going to take some saves while Kerkering, I think that was right. Well, Kerkering gets back up to speed playing in. I mean, he just got off the IL. They're not going to put him in high leverage spots off the bat. I mean,
correct.
So they're going to build him up. They're going to get him going, and he's a good pitcher. But I think Hoffman is the guy for saves in Phillies until Kerkering gets back on track.
Another guy I liked and I put in my must-have article before draft season on the Palazzo podcast Patreon for $3 a month. Make sure you guys check that out. Was Seranthony Dominguez. I like his fastball velocity. I think he has closer stuff. He just needs to locate better. So I actually like him as a dark horse in Philly at some point as well too, for some save chances. But remains to be seen. Next question we have here, Britton, is from Charles again. He just lost Bobby Miller. He wants to know better replacement. Is it Max Meyer or is it Nick Lodolo of the Cincinnati Reds, who shoved yesterday against the White Sox for 10 Ks?
Oh man, what a great problem to have. If you can get both Meyer or Lodolo. Nick Lodolo looked great for the Cincinnati Reds, even pitching in that park. But I really like Max Meyer. He was shut. He beat the Braves. I mean, he looks great. He looks like he's about 20 years old. But I think if it were my choice, I would probably go Max Meyer just because, since the Cincinnati ballpark is just a great hitter's park. I mean, there's every single metric points to that. And as good as Lodolo is, I love him too. They're both so good. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Meyer. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Anytime you go out and shove against a team like the Atlanta Braves, and they look lost against him yesterday, and this is not an out of nowhere kind of guy either. He's one of the Marlins' top arms. He got hurt last year, and they had to miss the rest. He had to miss the rest of the season. But with all the injuries that they have to that rotation, I know they're getting Braxton Garrett back. They're going to get Edward Cabrera back here probably around the same time. I would actually not be surprised if we saw Braxton Garrett next week. But they both may take one more rehab start. So these may be a little preview for next week's show. If you need starting pitching, is between Braxton Garrett and Edward Cabrera. I think both those guys will probably slot in. AJ Puck's days as a starter are done, especially when these guys come back. That was a cool spring training story, but I think that ship has sailed. I'm with you, Britton. I like Max Meyer, but I think it's close. I like Nick Lodolo too, but the one thing that Meyer gets the nod over is he doesn't pitch in Cincinnati. So that home ballpark's a little worrisome for me. And noting too, I made this tweet yesterday. I made this point. I'm interested to hear your take here, Britton, on this one. I think based off of the performance and the prospect pedigree that Nick Lodolo has, and we all know his injury concerns, based off of his 10K performance against the very lowly Chicago White Sox, I think people are going to pay probably a little too much of their fab on Nick Lodolo. Nick Lodolo.
The way of the dodo, Nick Lodolo.
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
Do you think that do you think he might be a little bit of a case of fool's gold here? Do you think somebody's going to overpay or overreach for Nick Lodolo based off of that performance, and also noting that he played not a very strong lineup, missing Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez?
Yeah, I think he's going. I mean, this is like selling high. I mean, or buying high, or whatever you want to call it. Like he literally just came off a kill it performance. He's out on the waiver wire, and managers are looking for something, anything, because I just lost Bobby Miller. I've lost all the starting pitcher injuries are and I don't want to be one of everybody's heard the podcasters go like, oh, the injuries, the injury, they threw too hard, they whatever. I mean, injuries are going to happen because every pitcher, your body's not supposed to throw a ball 100 miles an hour or whatever. But anywho, so everybody needs a replacement, and he looks so good. Yes, overpay. I'm 100% by it, and I hear what you're saying. Like it's going to be an overpay. I'm like, yeah, it is, because he's healthy and he's good and he can strike 10 people out. And he's not going to get to play the Chicago White Sox every week, but you know what? He's talented, and it's going to come out, and he's going to have good starts. But so Nick Lodolo is definitely going to be the hottest pitcher on the market. There was another guy. Speaking of pitchers, are you familiar with Yariel Rodriguez for the Toronto Blue Jays? I watched a little bit of his start last week. He's an interesting story. He's Cuban. He came over to the Blue Jays in the summer, and he was a reliever, but they're trying to stretch him out into a starter. Yeah. He started yesterday. He only threw three in point, three and a couple, but he looked really, 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 really good.
6 strikeouts.
6 strikeout. He's you want a K per 9. This guy's a 2K per 9. You know what I mean? Yep. So if you miss out on Lodolo, I can't say the kid's name. Sorry. If you miss out at the Dodo, if you miss out on Nick Lodolo, or you're scared off his price, I get it. Because if you're in a points league, you got that RP SP thing going on. Take a look at Yariel Rodriguez for the Toronto Blue Jays, because Bowden Francis is having some issues, and I think Rodriguez is a great story. And he's a good sneaky little ad in a points league if you need a RP SP guy.
Yeah, totally. And we actually just took all 3 guys off of my top hitter ads, pitcher ads this week. I have them ranked: Max Meyer, Nick Lodolo, and Yariel Rodriguez. So those are my top 3.
Great minds think alike. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not share our picks before because I like to sneak up on Mike. Like sneak attack, like when he's not looking, and then I try to get him, but of course he's out tricked me once again, taking all my picks. But I do have one more pitcher.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's all right, yeah.
Yep.
Darius Vines is one of my favorite pitchers. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. I don't know, but I do like the Braves. When I was growing up, the only thing on television, they didn't even have ESPN back then. It was like the only game I could watch was TBS, and that Ted Turner dude bought the Braves. So all I did was watch, Maddox and Glavine and all that fun stuff. But anyway, so Darius Vines is a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. He's a good, solid pitcher. He's not a lights out Nick Lodolo 10K type pitcher, but he's solid. Alan Winans got called up to take Strider's, or maybe not his spot, but at least help out in the rotation. Unfortunately, Winans got smoked. That wasn't all his fault, by the way, but whatever, it did happen. So they're bringing up Darius Vines. I think he's got the Houston Astros this week, but the Astros, are good. Obviously, they're a potent offense, but they're not the Astros of old. I mean, they still have Yordan Alvarez but Chase McCormick's been hurt, Bregman's been hurt, so it's the lineups are kind of strange. And like Darius Vines is going up against Spencer Arrighetti, or that dude got lit, or JP France got lit. And then Framber's about to go on the IL if he's not already. I think he's on the IL. So Atlanta's got a chance to win these games, and so wins are great. Darius Vines, he does go 6-7 innings in his AAA start, so they're going to let him go as long as he's not getting blown up. So take a look at Darius Vines if you just need some innings pitch, some wins, some ratio equalizers, and you can't get Lodolo or Max Meyer. Take a look at Darius Vines for the Braves.
Love that call. And again, this is maybe for those of you guys who are maybe in some deeper leagues and you can't get some of these three guys that Britton and I just mentioned. I do want to go into my honorable mentions for both hitters and pitchers real quick, if I could, Britton.
Hell yeah.
My honorable mentions for hitters: Brandon Marsh. He's only 36% owned in Yahoo leagues. We talked about him earlier on in the show. So if you miss out on my three, which were Colton Cower, Michael Bush, and my third one I forgot to mention was Jordan Westburg.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's been stealing bases. He's been hitting for power recently too. He looks like he's getting more and more comfortable. Qualifies at second and third. I think again, if you missed out on getting Michael Bush, Jordan Westburg is a solid consolation prize, if you will. So my honorable mentions for hitters were Brandon Marsh, Jose Caballero for Tampa Bay. He's been hitting for a lot of pop and stolen bases as well. And then Taylor Ward, who should probably already be owned, but he's 73% rostered in Yahoo format. So if Taylor Ward is out there back-to-back games with a home run and hitting cleanup for the Angels, I like him as a sneaky outfield bat as well.
Oh, he's not sneaky anymore, Mike. Taylor Ward is one of the hottest, off to the best start hitters in the entire MLB. That you nailed it. If Taylor Ward's on your waiver wire, and he might be on a 10-team or maybe even 12-team, go grab that dude. Yeah.
Yep. Only 73% owned in Yahoo, so he might be out there for you. My honorable mentions, and I want to highlight Britton Allan here as well, because he did make this call a couple of weeks. My honorable, ready for this one? Hang on.
Oh, I'm scared.
My honorable mentions for ads this week were Paul Blackburn, who's 34% rostered. He's a favorite of this show. Michael Govier loves Paul Blackburn. I actually have a couple formats with him as well. He is not a sexy Nick Lodolo type guy, but he hasn't been really giving up any runs this year thus yet. So he's a guy that maybe can help you out in terms of your ratios. And the second guy here, you ready for this one, Britton?
Yeah,
Britton mentioned this with our guest, Chris Towers, when we had him on from CBS. Javier Assad of the Chicago Cubs. Britton made this call a couple of weeks back, who's actually been pitching really well with Justin Steele on the IL. So Javier Assad, I believe in his last start, had 7 strikeouts as well. He's got a great offense behind him. He's only 27% owned in Yahoo leagues. So if you need a starter, and let's say you play in a deeper format, or maybe some of these guys that we just talked about are already owned, Javier Assad makes for a solid ad this week as well. So
he's got a great matchup coming up too. I want to say it's like Chicago, it's like the White Sox or Colorado. I think he played Colorado last week. But yeah, Javier Assad, I've had my eye on him for a while. He made the team because he had a good spring training. And not to parrot everything you just said, but Javier Assad is a legit quality starter. Yeah. And he, for whatever reason, he doesn't get any credit, but me and Mike V are here to change that, man. Javier Assad is a good starting pitcher. So yeah, I like that call.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I do have one hitter that I wanted to mention real quick. Speaking of the Chicago White Sox, and I know I can feel you rolling your eyes.
No, please, I'm ready.
You're not rolling your eyes, but I think you're rolling your eyes. I can feel the eyes roll when I say the Chicago White Sox.
I'm very interested.
They suck so bad.
Yeah, they do.
They're so poorly run. But Gavin Sheets. All right, look, if you need speed, you want Willie Castro, Aston Martin. You want everything, you go get Brandon Marsh or the other hitters Mike V has talked about. But if you're just like, look, I need straight up power, Gavin Sheets is batting third every day. He's a lefty hitter. He typically DHs because he's a terrible defender. But the White Sox, if you're like a head-to-head points league, and you're like, oh man, I'm facing a dude with a bunch of sluggers, and so I would look at Gavin Sheets because they got 5 righties coming up, so he's going to bat third every day. And Gavin Sheets has been heating up, man. He's just a big old school power lefty bat. That's what he does. So Gavin Sheets, if you need just straight up, random home runs off the waiver wire, because that dude is good at hitting righties, and that's what he's got coming up.
Great call. Love that. If you're a guy who owns maybe Christian Encarnacion Strand, who's off to a really sluggish start and you need some pop, that is a great call, especially with the righties that he's got on tap. And he's been hitting the hell out of the ball. Like Britton said, he's just one of those just good old boys, just likes to hit home runs, man. That's what he does. And he's going to be hitting in the middle of that lineup. This is still a major league team, folks. So go out and get Gavin Sheets if you need some pop in your lineup. Britton Fantasy Sports wants to know, how would you rank these starting pitchers between Nick Lodolo, Jared Jones, Tanner Houck, Jack Flaherty, Kyle Harrison, and Kyle Bradish? Good Lord, that's a lot of pitchers.
Mike V is going to put Flaherty at the very end of that because of just straight spite.
That's not true. Actually, I would put Kyle Harrison number the last one there, but Flaherty's right behind that. So
that's hilarious. Yeah, I would go Jared Jones, Lodolo. I like Tanner Houck too. Yeah, so I'd go Jared Jones. To me is first, and that may just be just straight up bias, and it could be because I love his stuff. I love his strikeout pitches, and I love the way the Pirates are playing. They actually are winning games, and Jared Jones is a young pitcher who's talent wise is better than all these guys. And these are talented guys. I mean, you're not in the major leagues because you're not talented, And Lodolo looked great the other day, but I think Mike V's right. I think he is going to be a little overdone. But yeah, so long story short, Jared Jones is number 1. Lodolo number 2. Tanner Houck's having a great start to the season, and then I kind of like Kyle Bradish back shortly. He's got a couple rehab starts, but he's going to be playing sooner and later, maybe next month, like starting MLB games next month. Mm-hmm. So I'll take Kyle Bradish, and then Flaherty, and then Harrison. That's how I would do it. How would you rank them?
Very almost identical. I would go the same way. Jared Jones, Lodolo. I would actually put Houck, once healthy, number 3. I'm sorry, Bradish number 3, Houck number 4, Flaherty number 5, and then Harrison last. I think, like you said, I think we're probably maybe a solid month away until Bradish starts. They're gonna play it safe with him. I don't think we see him until May, unfortunately. Maybe the end of the month, but definitely gonna need at least 2 or 3 rehab starts. So Jared Jones is the clear-cut favorite for me at number 1, and Lodolo's number 2. Yeah, I think that's how I'd rank them. So I'd go Jones, Lodolo, Bradish, Houck, Flaherty, Harrison.
I'm getting the vapors. Look how red my face is. That's not just all the wine I drink. I'm getting, when I hear Jared Jones's name, I literally, like, my body temperature goes up a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, he's so freaking good. It drives me crazy.
He's so good.
I love him.
That rotation is gonna be fun in a couple.
I like the Pirates. I'd love to go see a game this year. Everybody that's been to, what's the name of the park in Pittsburgh? PNC Park says it's the best park, and I would love that. If there's anything on my bucket list, it's like I want to go, which is a weird bucket list. Like I want to go to a baseball park. That's my ambition. That tells you where I'm at in life. But hey, can I? In the chat, Mike Pina has a question, and I wanted to get to it because I think this is a great question. He's asking about a prospect. Get it. Yeah, so it's.
I'm trying to bring it up here.
All right. Well, while you're bringing it up, I'll go ahead. So
there we go. Thoughts on Joey Loperfido from?
Yeah, I think it's Loperfido. We'll just call him Joey for Joey L. Joey L. It's Loper Fido, Loperfido, I guess. What? First off, 80 grade name. Okay, 80 grade. I don't know how to pronounce it, but whatever it is, it's your name forever, and I love it. All right, so. He's a Houston Astro prospect. And the reason why I think Mike is bringing this up is because I don't follow prospects all that closely. I try to do my best. I basically just follow people on Twitter like the Welsh and Eric Cross, like those guys. But this kid, Joey L, has hit like 10 home runs in 13 games in the minor leagues. He leads the minor leagues in home runs. He is effing killing it.
Yes, he is.
Probably the hottest minor league baseball player, and that includes all those guys that play for the Norfolk Tides or whatever. I mean, he's got power. His batting average isn't going to be great, but you know, he's a player definitely to keep an eye on. And from Duke University too, he's 25 years old, so he's not like I mean, his time is coming. He's 25. He's killing it. He's going to get a look at the major league level this year. So, yeah, if you're in a deeper league, I took him in our. I don't think you're in our Auto New League, but I a couple of weeks ago I nominated him because it's like auction style. You know, it's not fastest finger. You start and then people have the chance to bid. Anyway,
hit on him.
So I got him for $1 a couple weeks ago.
Ooh,
so I am personally invested, me, myself, and I, with Joey Loperfido. So he's got power, he's got speed. Yeah, I'm going to hang on to him and see what happens. But according to the baseball analyzer, he's expected to make his debut this year, and he hit 19 home runs in Double-A. God, he went from high A to Double-A to Triple-A Sugarland all last year. So he's on the move, long story short. And here in AAA, he's banging, and I could go on and on, so please stop me. But so here he is at the highest level, and he's killing it. They can't keep this kid down. No way. Now, they may wait till the Super 2 stuff goes, and that may be a minute. But, yeah, he's a name to put on your radar. Everybody knows Jackson Churio. Everyone knows Wyatt Langford. This guy mashes, so keep your eye on him. I think Mike had a good call on that.
Yeah, I love that. And somebody else also had the same question too, so I'm glad we got to that one.
Oh yeah, he's on the radar, Mike V. If it's the time to go get him is now, like right now, because the word's going to get out on Joey Loperfido pretty quick. I mean, you can't hit that many home runs in AAA and not get a look. So
ask the Orioles with Kyle Stowers and Heston Kierstad. Those guys are mashing, but they just don't have a spot for him right now. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I do want to get to some of these questions here, Britton. Let's kind of breeze through these real quick if we could. That's it. We got that one. Before we get into the next question, I got to get to this one here, Britton. I agree with Mike. That's always a good one there.
Yeah, that's
whatever he's agreeing with.
Be like Mike. Is what we say here at the Plaza.
There you go. All right. Fantasy Sports wants to know, should I drop Hayes or Hoskins for Bush? Problem with Bush is that he will sit versus left-handers. I hear what you're saying there, Fantasy Sports. I think his bat is too good. I do think there are going to be some times where he does sit against some lefties, but he's proven to be an everyday player, and I don't think that he will sit as much as you think he is. In terms of your question there, though, in terms of Hayes or Hoskins, it depends on what the rest of your team looks like. I personally would be adding Michael Bush. I just don't know who I'm dropping between those two. I got to be honest with you, Britton. I'm not a big Brian Hayes guy. So if I had to pick, I would probably pick him out of those two. But it also depends if you don't need Hayes's. I know Hayes can probably chip in some speed and sit in the middle of that order as well. Hoskins and Bush for me are very similar as well, type players. So I think both are power bats. One of them's lefty, one of them's a righty. But this is a tough one for me. If I had to pick between these two, I'm probably dropping Hayes. But what say you, Britton Allan?
Tough question. Great question, Mr. Fantasy Sports. Yeah, I'm 100% keeping Rhys Hoskins. The Brewers are off to the hottest start they've ever had in the history of their franchise. Asterisks, that may not be true. But anyway, moving on. So, yeah, I'm keeping Hoskins for his power in that lineup. Brian Hayes, that's a close call. Brian Hayes started off hot. I haven't looked at him recently because I honestly don't have him in a single league anywhere.
Same.
In any of my drafts. It just didn't happen. And I'm not against him or anything. It just it just didn't happen. So but so I might keep Brian Hayes depending on how he's doing. if he slowed down a bit, why not go get Bush if it's a 10, 12 team league? But yeah, it's close. But the only thing I know for sure is I'm keeping Hoskins. So
yeah,
I
got his stats up for you for Cabrian Hayes. He's a 276 hitter, 6 runs scored, 0 home runs, 7 RBIs, and he has a 386 OBP, 345 slug, and a 731 OPS.
Cabrian Hayes hadn't hit a home run this year?
No.
Okay, go ahead and get Bush then, and let Cabrian Hayes, go to the weight room. Mike, you need to reach out to Cabrian Hayes and get him over to the weight room, and y'all lift. What do people do that strong people do? They lift bars or whatever.
Oh yeah, they lift heavy things and put them down.
They lift heavy things, right? Go lift heavy things, and then come back because Bush can hit a ball 100 miles an hour out of the park. So that's what
Cabrian Hayes can afford me too. So I mean, that's the thing. It's like
put you on the payroll. Yeah. Oh yeah. He got that big contract. Sure. You have to read the contract real closely because you never know when there's a Mike V writer at the very, 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 very end. You got to read it. You got to read the whole thing.
That's right. Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Streaming pictures. 2 spots hit. All right. So it looks like there's some people just following up with some stuff that we had earlier. BZA, RZA, GZA says Langford got hosed by Angel Hernandez. All 3 strikes missed at least by 6 inches. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that, Britton, the other day. Wyatt Langford was up and he got hosed on all 3 strike calls, quote unquote. And if you actually go back and look at I don't know if you ever watched or go on MLB.com or their app and see the game day app that they have, you can literally see where the ball is in relation to the strike zone, and it wasn't anywhere close, and he got hosed. So
how can you be in this day and age, how can you be this bad at a job, this bad at your profession, and still keep your job? And look, I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're all human.
I don't.
Dude, Mike V does. Mike V makes 0 mistakes. You know who does? You know who also doesn't make mistakes? Robots. Robots don't make mistakes.
There you go.
Robots don't make mistakes.
Oh, he's getting it something here, folks.
Yeah. If you had the choice, all right, this game is going to not your life, nothing that dramatic, but there's money on the line. I mean, this is a professional game,
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, so your choices, you can have a robot ump or Angel Hernandez. I mean, who do you want calling balls? That's right. Like, give me the robot. Man. Give me the Whopper. Give me the Whopper from War Games. That thing is freaking genius. Or give me AI or whatever you want. Yeah, give me something. I mean, but anything but that guy. He's like defiantly bad. I mean, it's like he's turned into a heel in the WWE wrestling world or something. Like, God, just make it. He probably does it on purpose
at this point. Yeah, I don't know how he still has a job.
I think Skynet put them back in time because they're like, okay, it's time for robots, and here's why. So Skynet is behind. Oh, okay, Mike V, you heard it here first. Skynet is behind Angel Hernandez still pitching.
Lock it in, folks. Lock it in. Next question we get from Fantasy Sports Head-to-Head Points League. Brandon Donovan, Willie Adames, or Jordan Westberg. All really good players there. And I actually got a very similar question. I actually got a really similar question to this on Twitter the other day. And I think and I was tagged with a bunch of other analysts on there as well. Mainly surrounding Adames and Donovan. For me, and again, it depends on what the rest of your team makeup looks like here and what position you need. It looks like all these guys at least play. Well, Adames is a shortstop, so
Westberg's second and third, right? And Adames is straight SS,
right? So for me personally, I mean, I still give Willie Adames a slight edge. I get the appeal with Brandon Donovan. He just seems very vanilla for me. I would just rather prefer. Here's how I would rank them. I would go Adames, Westberg, Donovan. That's just me. I know Donovan's hitting at the top of the Cardinals lineup. He has position eligibility. He doesn't strike out a ton. Solid floor across the board there for you. But again, it really depends on what the rest of your team context and the format is. Fantasy sports. But if I had to rank them just in a vacuum, I'm going Adames, Westberg, and Donovan. But what say you, Britton?
I'm going to go Westberg 1, without a doubt.
I don't hate that.
And I think Adames. I think Westberg's number one. But Adames is good too. Adames is going to hit home runs, even though his past couple of years haven't been great. Like he had a great promise, but he just hadn't clicked yet. But so long story short, I'll take Westberg 1, Adames 2, and Donovan 3rd because I think that's how it comes out with home runs. I think Westberg's going to hit the most, and then Adames, and then Brandon Donovan for the in a head-to-head point league. That's I want the guy that's going to hit the most home runs.
Adames over the past 2 games against my O's, Britton. You ready for this one? He is
man. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
6 for 10 with 5 runs scored, a home run, and 5 RBI. So he is lighting my O's up.
Well, you know why? Because James McCann talked some trash to him, and the bench is cleared, and I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who said what. I don't know what happened, but that's kind of like this is like what they did to Reese Hoskins. The Mets. Whatever, like plunking. I can't remember, but and then the next day he hit like 2 home runs, or maybe it was I can't remember. But anyway, it's just kind of like, some beef with Willie Adames. I'm like, what happened? Like, what'd he do? And then neither team would talk about it. They're like, why did y'all almost get into a fist fight? And they're like, oh, nothing. I'm like, what? What do you mean nothing?
Give us something.
Yeah, tell me. I want to know. Yeah. Like, is are wives and girlfriends involved? Like, something's happening out here, man. Something's happening. Right. It's not because he looked at the pitcher too long, rounding the bases, and it's not about that. It's about something else. So, anyway.
Right. Yeah, for me, Brandon Donovan does this every year. He's always one of these guys that resurfaces and he flames out. So I think in terms of just sustainable production, I think you're going to get that with Westberg and Adames throughout the year. It's worth noting, and Adames' batting average has been very, very low the past couple of seasons. He's batting 296 right now. It's still early, and obviously these past 2 games have had a lot to do with raising his batting average up a little bit. But for me, Brandon Donovan is not somebody I'm looking to add but in the deepest of formats. I get why people like him because of where he's at right now in the lineup. I just need to see it longer. And I've seen this story before. This is what's going to happen. That he'll be good for the next week or 2. Then he'll start to flame out and everyone will start dropping him again. So, or he'll get hurt because that's another part of his MO there.
Yeah. He had surgery in the off season. So, you got that, but he's young and, he's had success before last year. So, I mean, I like him. I've got him in leagues, and I like the fact that he bats at the top of the Cardinals order, even though the Cardinals have been, pretty terrible as a team. But yeah, I just, I think he's a good player, but I think Westberg is kind of a star.
Yeah. He's getting up to that point too. And it's great playing.
Or will be a star
as well. Yeah. Durfboy 22 wants to know when we think Paul Skeens and Christian Scott get the call. For those of you guys who don't know, Paul Skeens was the number 1 overall draft pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates last year. Christian Scott is a pitcher for the New York Mets. For me, Britton, and I think Chad alluded to in the chat earlier, there seems to be some rumblings of that he may be getting the call because the next start lines up Friday. I believe Marco Gonzalez is going to be on the IL. I believe that's who Chad said in the chat. But I don't know, man. I've gotten this question a lot. Paul Skeens is without a question, in my opinion, the best pitching prospect in baseball right now. I don't know, though, if and when he does get the call, how many innings or pitches they're going to let him throw. Because here's the thing. A lot of people keep telling me, like, Mike, it's not an innings thing. It's a pitcher's thrown thing, which I get, right? And striking out people is obviously going to add to your pitch total, which is obviously a good thing to have. I obviously want a guy who's striking dudes out, but I don't know how many innings he's going to get this year, for 1, and 2, I don't know how deep he's going to be pitching into games. I think they're going to be extremely careful with him. I definitely think he should be added just in case that this rumor is true that he does get the call next Friday. But Christian Scott, I don't know if they're going to be in a rush to call him up. I probably don't see him until June or July. That's just my personal opinion. But Paul Skeens is interesting to me, Britton. I don't know if you have any thoughts or strong thoughts on either of these guys.
Yeah, and the Skeens thing goes back to his time at LSU. Now, I don't follow college all that much, but man, they rode him like a rented mule. I mean, like 200 innings or something. I mean, they just and of course LSU won.
Yeah,
but like, I mean, he, I don't know, but I think he's kind of like Strasburg. Like he's
Mhm.
like that level of
He's better.
exciting and elite stuff. I but they kind of mishandled Strasburg. Remember, like innings pitch, they
That's
tried to
true.
do it, and what happened to him? Like they
Not in
didn't
baseball
save
anymore.
him. Yeah, they didn't save him from anything. I mean, he did win a World Series with them, so that's good. But yeah, Paul Skeens is definitely coming up. They cannot let him waste away in AAA, especially when they've got a real shot to win their division. The Pittsburgh Pirates do, like a real shot.
I
So
said that
yeah,
last weekend on the show, Britton, when I was doing the solo show by myself here. The thing with Skeens is they're wasting bullets with him down in AAA, and especially since the workload that he got at LSU, now is the time to call. He was ready to be with the team the minute they drafted him. I mean, that's how
yes,
good this guy is.
yes.
So
It's not. They're not developing pitches. They're not
no,
developing stuff. It's all there. So
yeah,
they just got to figure out how they want to handle his workload. That's what they're trying to figure out. And with this hot start, I think Chad's right. I think they're going to call him up here in a couple weeks or something, because man, you can't let somebody that good,
waste away.
pitch against the Arkansas Travelers. All right, forget it. Forget it. Get him up to the big leagues and let him get that big league because here's another thing too. Like with all due respect to the minor league guys, like the
Yep.
best coaches are in major league. The best coaches are in major league. Get this guy up where he belongs.
Yep.
But what the hell do I know, Mike? That's just
That's
what
actually really funny
do
that
I know?
it's funny you bring that up because I can't, and I'm so glad you did too, because I would have not made this point unless you did bring this up. I get this question a lot on Twitter, and this is something I'm very, very passionate about. When people ask, it could be me, it could be Britton, it could be anybody. We're not in the organization with Pittsburgh. We're not in the organization with New York. So anybody asks, when do we expect to see X, Y, and Z player up? This is not a knock on anybody. I appreciate the questions, obviously, but it's all speculation and guessing at this point. Anybody who tells you that they have a good idea of when they're coming up is full of S, because it's one of those things too where the talent may very well be there. Maybe it's a position eligibility aspect of it. If we're talking about a guy who plays, in the field, pitchers, same thing. It could be on a pitch count. They could be watching his innings. They don't want to start his Super 2. Nobody has any insider scoop. It's all just guessing, right? And whoever's right is right. Did they call him up next week? Who knows? But I would not be shocked, Britton, if we don't see him for another month or two too.
Could
So
be. You're exactly right. I mean, service time manipulation happens,
yeah.
especially with guys like this. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to manipulate somebody's service time, this is the guy, or
Yeah.
Wyatt Langford. Now Texas doesn't do that. They don't play
No.
games with that. They
No.
live in the moment, carpe diem, so to speak. But Pittsburgh's different. Like they're not
Yeah.
Texas. Like they don't have the
No.
budget. They don't have the TV stuff. Like they have a long, great tradition, but they're a small market team. So
Mm-hmm.
like they got to keep control under this on this guy for as long as they can, because once he hits free agency, he's gone. He's not staying at Pittsburgh. He's not staying at Pittsburgh. Now that's years 6 years down the road, But so just because if this dude were on the Rangers, he would have started
Day one.
opening day. Opening
Yeah.
day would have been
Yep.
on would maybe not on the 5-man rotation, but he's on the opening day roster. Maybe they bring him out in bulk relief and stretch him out or whatever. But because
Yeah.
it's Pittsburgh, they have to do what they have to do. Even though they did give they locked up Hayes to a long-term contract, the biggest given out in their history. Sorry,
Yeah.
Willie Stargell or whatever. But it's just one of those things. Like the whole Pittsburgh, we time manipulation thing. That I think that's. And obviously they can't say this because then they'd be violating the collective bargaining agreement. But behind closed doors, that's their number one priority.
Oh,
It's what
it's got to be.
it's got to be, because it's not talent. I mean, there's no
No.
argument there, obviously.
No. And I think that's the thing too, is with any prospect that we're talking about, it could be hitter, it could be pitcher, it could be whatever it may be. It's all guessing, right? I mean, the correct answer to when do we think these guys are going to come up? The correct answer for both of us is I have no idea, because nobody knows. There could be very strong inklings or hints that we're getting from the team, or maybe it lines up well and that makes sense. But again, if he doesn't come up for Friday's start, am I going to be shocked? Hell no. I don't think anybody has any idea of when these guys get the call. It's just a matter of either one, stashing them now, or two, chomping at the bit, ready to get them when they know those guys do get the call. So,
yeah, I do love playing fantasy baseball though. So it's fun to have guys like Paul Skeens on your,
of course,
on the last thing of the bench, and when he starts in his first start and he gives up 6 earned runs in the first inning, and we're like, oh no, what happened? It's like, look, man, this is baseball. Darius Vines can go throw or Ronel Blanco can go throw a complete game shutout in his first start. I guarantee you Paul Skeens won't, even though he's the best prospect since Steven Strasburg. But that's just how it goes, man. But that's what makes it fun.
Yep. All right, let's do a rapid fire here real quick, Britton, because I got to get going here. Fantasy Sports wants to know, which position does Heston Kjerstad play once he's called up? DH? I don't know, to be honest with you. I think he's probably a DH if he gets called up, or maybe even an outfield spot. Maybe he switches some time with right field with Anthony Santander. Maybe he switches to the DH role. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays him first. So I think he's probably between first, outfield, and DH. I think those are his 3 spots in the majors right now. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that one, Britton.
Yeah, there's no room for him in the outfield. So DH DH is his only way. And what they'd have to do, put somebody on the IL or send Austin Hayes down, right?
Hayes or Cut Mateo or Urias, one of those guys that would have to be a corresponding move, because there's no room for him on the 40-man right now. So
yeah, sorry, Heston. I hear you, man. From Arkansas, I got my Heston Kjerstad autograph card upstairs. So I want you. I want you to make it, man. Come on.
He says, Durf Boy wants to know, I have Junior Caminero and James Wood stashed. Do I drop one for Joey Laperfido or Fido? Me personally, I'm not dropping. If this is a dynasty league, Durf Boy, I'd prefer Junior Caminero number 1 for me. James Wood has been so good in the minors, and really since he's come over from San Diego in that Juan Soto deal. I like both those guys over Joey Laperfido, but it's close for me. But I'm not dropping either of those guys. Britton, I don't know how you feel.
What a great question. This question might keep me up at night. It really might. I don't know. I mean, James Wood is so electric. Junior Caminero has all the pedigree. He did get activated off the minor league IL. And Junior. The problem with Junior is he's bat first. His defense is not good.
Sucks.
And then he goes to the Rays, and all they do is mix and match. And if your defense isn't good, that doesn't work. Man, I might drop Junior Caminero for a
no.
I know.
He's a top 5 prospect in baseball. You can't drop him.
He's top 5. I know. but I gotta have Joey, and I can't drop James Wood, right? I can't do that.
If you had a gun to my head and told me to drop one of these guys, I'm dropping James Wood for Joey, but I'm not.
Yeah, you can't. Don't listen to me, Durf Boy. I got a Joey problem. Don't ask me Joey questions, because I'm just going to find a way to put Joey on my team for my very.
I get it.
For my very selfishness, because I've got him stashed away. So
there you go. Yeah. Next question here from Jeff. Are you guys in the Palazzo League? Of course, man. We're in the Palazzo podcast. Of course we're in the league. And he wants to know how we're doing in our leagues thus far. I'm actually going to bring it up for you right now. I have my phone right here. Right now, overall, I am 12th overall in the Palazzo League. And in my league specifically, I am number 4. So I'm 4 out of 15 in my actual league, and I'm number 12 overall in the Palazzo. I don't know where you're at, Britton.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm 1st overall. I have been for the whole year. So 1st in my league, obviously, 1st overall. It's been kind of a blowout situation. So I'm just kidding. You know what? I'm not in any of the Plaza. I forgot, man. I don't know what to say.
Are you not in it?
Say. I'm not. I don't.
Oh,
isn't it like in by invite only? Like I never got an invite. I don't know how to. I did. Dude, I screwed up. I don't know.
We got to get you in there, man.
I don't know. So it's funny though. But I am in the Palazzo Auto New League.
Yeah,
but I didn't make
Where
it
are you
to
at in
any
that one?
I'm like in 6th. I went very prospect heavy. Like, listen to this. I'll make this quick, I promise. But Speaking of prospects, I have Wyatt Langford, Jackson Holiday, Dylan Cruz,
Oh,
Junior Caminero,
oh,
Chase DeLauder. I
love
went
that one.
Paul Skeens. I went
Oh,
I went for the prospects.
I love that, dude. That's a
Jackson
solid team.
Churio. Listen, I mean,
Hell
that's
yeah.
like the top 10 guys. I'm pumped.
That's like an all-star team.
Well, maybe next year. Maybe next
Right.
year. It's
Right.
they got to all get up first. But yeah, I played for tomorrow, not today.
I
But
hear you,
yeah,
brother.
that's what's fun about those dynasty leagues. Is man, you can just you can play however you want to play. But
That's right.
yeah, I didn't make it. I didn't make it to the NFBC Palazzo leagues. I don't even know why. It's just
We got
user
to get you in
error, I
there.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in 12th in that one. Michael Govier is 33rd in that league. Our boy Russell Withers is 42. I'm just going down the list here. If I skipped over you, I apologize. Chris Deary, who's used to be the co-host of this show with Michael Govier, is number 56. He's actually in my league. And Sarah Sanchez, who was on our Bozo Fest, she is sitting at number 6 overall. So,
Oh, congratulations, Sarah! Yeah, that's great.
she's doing pretty well.
Yeah, she was in my NFBC league when we drafted out in Arizona. I
Yeah,
think she may be winning that league too. So
there you go.
she's
She's a solid player.
She's great. And she's cool too. I've met her, but yeah,
All right.
I'm not in it. Yeah, go ahead.
Next question here. What's a better IL stash, Gavin Williams or Shane Boz? I'm leading Gavin Williams. It's actually a good question. Both of them scare me. I know Boz had a little bit of a setback. Honestly, I think he had something going on with his oblique. It's not an arm issue or something like that. He did have a setback. It said it wasn't crazy, but it's minor, but it is still a setback. So I would say of these two guys, Gavin Williams is definitely going to be pitching sooner than Shane Boz will. But I actually prefer Shane Boz. I don't know if you feel separately to that, Britton. I love Gavin Williams too, so it pains me to say that. My heart says Gavin Williams. My head says Shane Boz. If both are healthy, I prefer Boz over Gavin Williams. But Britton, real quick, I don't know if you have any opinions on that one.
Yeah, Shane Boz, aka the Wizard of Boz. I've always liked him, even back when he was a Pittsburgh Pirate. But injuries have derailed him.
Yep.
Gavin Williams was great last year. He was awesome, a full blown breakout. The Guardians are playing well. I'm going to take Gavin Williams IL stash. I think he's going to be playing sooner. I think he plays for a good team with good defense, and so give me Gavin Williams and good luck on your recovery, Shane Boz. I'm rooting for you, but I want Gavin Williams.
Yeah, and I tweeted it out yesterday too. I actually asked it's called Cleveland Prospectus or something like that on Twitter. I actually asked him and tweeted at him and said, "Hey, we haven't had any updates with Gavin Williams. What's going on?" And actually replied back to me and said that Monday he's going to be facing live hitters, I believe, or throwing something along those lines. So he's ramping up. I do think we see him at the end of the month. It'll be interesting to see though.
They need him. Tristan McKenzie got blasted.
Shelled.
Tyner Bybee is having, and look, Tyner Bybee's start last year wasn't sustainable. I mean, it was just everything fell right, and he's talented. But yeah, I think Gavin Williams is going to come up sooner than later to help out the Guardians.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll take a couple more questions.
Shane Bieber. Oh man, I mean, devastation.
Charles wants to know, just to clarify, just added Meyer. Would you drop Harrison for Lodolo? I personally would, yes.
In a New York minute, yes.
Yeah. Michael T wants to know, with Bradish, Bieber.
What up, Bieber?
With Bradish, Bieber, and now Bradford on Cody Bradford hit the IR, by the way. Britton, I don't know if you saw
today,
that.
I saw that. Yeah. Bummer.
Who should I be looking for a long-term replacement? Should I focus on another starter or a fourth reliever? Michael, that's an impossible question to answer, man. No offense, because we don't know what the rest of your team looks like. If you have Bradish, Bieber, and now Bradford, all three of those guys on your team, then yes, I would be looking to add a starter. But I also don't know who your relievers are. Is it a saves, holds league? Is it a points league, categories league, whatever it may be? But in a vacuum, go ahead.
Yeah, go look and see if Max Meyer is on your waiver wire. Go look to see if Nick Lodolo is on the waiver wire. If neither guys are out there and it's kind of a deeper league, we mentioned Yariel Rodriguez for the Toronto Blue Jays for a points league. Put him in your RP slot. Or I like Darius Vines, who it's hard to get excited about Darius Vines, but for some reason I am. I love the Braves. He's got a one start coming up this week. It's against Houston, which you're automatically like, uh-oh, Houston. But then he's got a 2-step after that. That's really juicy. So yeah, I might go ahead and take a shot with Darius Vines if you can't get those other guys.
Yeah, I would focus on the starter, though, Michael. I think both Britton and I are in agreement there. Without knowing who the rest of your relievers or starters are, if you've lost all three of those guys, I think you got to go get another starter. Real quick, Britton, before we get out of here, I did want to cover my favorite 2 starts SP streams this week. I don't know, and these are guys that are less than 60% owned in Yahoo leagues. That's that's kind of my twist that I put on it. Okay, so the first one here, we're gonna go through it really quickly. Zach Littell versus he gets the Angels at home, and then he also is at New York. I realize the Yankees are not a spot start to stream him, but at least one of those 2 matchups, you're getting Zach Littell, who's going to be a rock solid ratio guy. Chips in terms of Ks a little bit too. I think he has 5 and 6 over his last 2 starts respectively. And it's actually somebody I was targeting after pick 300 in all of my drafts. We talked about him actually on this show. So I like Zach Littell this week. He's only 42% owned. If at bare minimum, if you just want to stream him against your Angels start there, I think that's a good matchup.
I like him a lot too. Definitely.
Yeah. Seth Lugo gets the White Sox and my Orioles this week. Same thing with Zach Littell. Lugo is going to be great for ratios. He's not really a big K guy, but he hasn't really given up a whole lot of runs this year in 3 starts. So the White Sox is obviously a great matchup, juicy matchup. If nothing else, I think you stream him for that start. I'd be a little weary against Baltimore, but I wouldn't. If you're playing a deeper format, I think he's somebody that you can go out and grab. And then lastly here, Britton, I want to get your thoughts on this guy. Ben Brown of the Chicago Cubs has been getting a lot of buzz, and I like him a lot. He's only 4% owned, and I think the reason why is because they haven't really been giving him a whole lot of innings, but he's got high K potential. He gets the Diamondbacks in Arizona and then against the Miami Marlins. They need to increase his innings pitched, obviously. Maybe that has something to do with maybe working his way up, but the Ks are there and the matchups there. Do you have any interest in Ben Brown in deeper formats?
In deeper formats, yeah, I like Ben Brown. His stuff is good, but he got blasted his first taste of the major leagues. Two pitch picture, yeah, I like him in the right matchups. I'm not sure Arizona's the right matchup anymore.
No,
but yeah, but Ben Brown for the Cubs is definitely someone to keep your eye on, keep him on your radar. I would let him sit on the waiver wire, let him see how these 2 starts go. But the talent's there, the Ks are going to be there, but just based on his, let him get his feet wet. Feet wet, does that make sense? I don't know why you need.
That's the thing.
Do your feet need to get wet? I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
yeah, but I'd let him get acclimated first, and then maybe the next 2 starts.
So the first start against Texas, he's obviously was terrible. He got shelled. He only made it an inning in 2/3. But his next 2 starts, he went up against Colorado, which is another tasty matchup. 4 innings pitched, 5 Ks. And then his most recent one at San Diego went 4 2/3, another 5 Ks, 0 earned runs. So he's climbing his ladder a little bit.
You're right.
He's a guy that I'm adding in deeper formats. I would just want to make sure I'm noting that. Like if you're playing a 16-team league or something along those lines or greater, I think Ben Brown is an interesting add.
I think that's a great call. I'm writing him down here in my notes because I didn't realize because I added him. I didn't play him against Texas, but I added him to my team, and so that was kind of fresh in my mind.
There you go. Robbie Baseball, for those of you guys who don't know, he's our prospect guru along with Ben Chase. He wanted us to mention Abraham Toro as a guy. If you play in deeper formats, he's hitting leadoff for the A's. He's got some solid pop. He's over the past couple of games, he's got a couple multi-hit games, and he's second base and third base eligible. So if you play in your deeper formats, 16-team plus, maybe even your 20-team formats, whatever it may be, Abraham Toro is a guy that's out there. I believe he's single digits in terms of roster percentage. He's a guy that you can probably go out and get cheap for $1 and hopefully that he sticks at that leadoff spot for the A's. But Britton, before we get out of here, anything that you want to mention, anything you want to say, anybody else that's piquing your interest for the waiver wire run this tonight?
Yeah, kind of. And this is more of a gambling tip than anything else, but
ooh, I love it.
Excuse me. The Cardinals are playing Oakland next week. Sonny Gray is lined up to play Oakland, which, if you remember, Sonny Gray was drafted by Oakland. So he's revisiting his old team. I love when starting pitchers play their old teams because they generally want to show them what they're missing, kind of like hopefully Corbin Burns today with the Brewers. So yeah, that's kind of a sneaky. That's a game I'm keeping my eye on. Let's see what the run line, money line look. Yeah, Sonny Gray at Oakland. I think he's gonna stick it to him. Which is like the most random thing to think about.
No, it's not. It's actually it's a good one. It's a good segue too, because BZA RZA GZA wants to know if you're streaming Lance Lynn against Oakland on Tuesday.
100%, 100%. That's a great stream. I have 0.0 problem streaming Lance Lynn against Oakland. I really like that stream actually. So yeah, I'm in on that.
I'm actually might be looking to do that myself. So thank you guys very much for the questions in the live chat. Really appreciate it. For those of you guys who haven't done so already, please, please, please make sure you like this video and then also subscribe to the Palazzo Podcast YouTube. It's the best way to support us. It's the best way to support the show. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs before the end of the season. We would really, really appreciate the support. It takes 2 seconds. We would greatly appreciate it. If you have time, make sure you go on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Leave us a 5-star review. Maybe a helpful comment in there would be nice. If you're on Twitter, make sure you're following me here in the yellow bubble @_MikeVA. I do daily notes every single day, Monday through Friday, from the games before. Notables, that guys we should be picking up, cutting, dropping, whatever it may be. A lot of cool stuff on there. Follow Britton Allan on Twitter as well, @Britton Allan, 2 T's, 2 L's. Obviously, the Palazzo Podcast Twitter handle as well. You guys know the deal. Get in our Discord. Happy to answer questions if you guys have them outside of today. Britton, enjoy the rest of the day, dude. Hope you have a great time watching some baseball. Hope there's some Miller Lights in your forecast today.
Always on the forecast, Mike. Always on the forecast. Your face doesn't get this red by living life right. But also enjoy your Masters, your Championship Sunday Masters too.
Oh man, love it. Yeah, I'm going to be switching between baseball and golf all day today. We play in a Masters pool. It's $50 a head, and you pick 6 golfers, and you take your top four golfers throughout the weekend.
Did you get Scheffler?
No, it's not one of those things where you draft, like anybody can pick anybody, but it doesn't release until the first swing of the Masters comes up. So Scheffler is on a lot of other people's teams, but I do have Colton Cower, I believe, who's 1 stroke back. So
yeah, he's looking good.
In order for me to win today, I'm going to need John Rahm to get his head out of his ass and shoot low today, but we'll see.
Did Tiger Woods make the cut? I didn't even pay attention.
He did. He made the cut, but he had a terrible, terrible, terrible round yesterday. I would not be surprised if he withdrew if he hasn't already done so already. I know it's already 1 o'clock. So
man, the minute he got clocked by his ex-wife on the head with that 9-iron, he aged about 5 million years. So yeah. But yeah. Anyway. That's a different story for a different day.
I'm not a big Tiger guy to begin with.
Hey, thanks for inviting me on, Mike. I really appreciate it. This is a great show. Man. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
I appreciate you. And because we didn't do a Friday show, for those of you guys who tune in on Fridays, life gets in the way. Michael Govier is studying for one of his exams. Britton and I had other commitments as well. Life just happens sometimes. We'll be back next week. And Britton, because we did not get a taste of the captain this week on Friday, I'm going to end this with that. You guys have a good rest of the Sunday. Good luck in your rest of your week matchups, and I hope you get you guys on your waiver wire. All right, peace.
Right, lads. Now, I know there's not a faint heart among you, and I know you're as anxious as I am to get into close action. But we must bring him right up beside us before we spring this trap. That will test our nerve. And discipline will count just as much as courage. The Acheron is a tough nut to crack. More than twice our guns, more than twice our numbers. And they will sell their lives dearly. They mean to take us as a prize. And we are worth more to them undamaged. Their greed will be their downfall. England is under threat of invasion. And though we be on the far side of the world, this ship is our home. This ship is England. So it's every hand to his rope or gun, quick's the word and sharp's the action. After all, surprise is on our side.